My family experience greatly influenced how I approached families when I started in this industry. And I worked for a very small 16-bed memory care community. It was not residential, but it was residential like. And I still think that carries forward how I approach things. I later went into operations and I was an executive director in mostly memory care facilities. Reaching the family where they needed to be and educating them along the way really became key for informed decisions.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, 𝐶𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬 and 𝐓𝐢𝐻𝐢𝐦𝐻𝐢. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living.
Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
Welcome back to today's episode of the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐶𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬, and today we are thrilled to have Amanda Bailey joining us today. Amanda Bailey is the founder of Help for My Parents and the creator of A Place to Call Home. And she really embraces helping families find the right care, the right homes for seniors. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Really excited to have you here today. A little bit different than our usual guests, which are typically home operators. And you're on the front end of that, of helping seniors and families make decisions and select the right home. So give us a quick snapshot of what you're focused on today, Amanda, and then we'll take a step back and figure out how you got here.
Okay, great. So I wrote some workbooks that I saw a need where families just weren't walking into their senior living choices educated enough to make the right decision at the right time and not have to do this process all over again. I was often ending up with families that had made the wrong decision in crisis mode, and I thought there's just got to be a better way to educate families. And being in placement, I did as much of that as I could with the families that I encountered, but I quickly realized that there is a whole lot more people out there than I'm going to ever be able to affect. So I sat down and started writing a workbook. And it's the first third of the workbook is real educational. It's what is senior living? What are personal care homes? Because most people either don't know or have a misconception, honestly, or maybe they have a good impression, but some of them just don't even realize that's an option available out there. And so I wanted to bring that forward to make sure everybody's having all the choices and making the most informed decision that they can based on the information that they have. And the last half of the workbook is truly that. It's a workbook. It's checklist. It's what kind of care does mom need? What are some of dad's must-haves? What kind of questions do I ask when I tour these places? And then how do I sit down and compare them side by side and make the right choice the first time? So that's what really drove me to write the workbook.
I love that. We're gonna dig in deep into that and understand how you advise that decision-making process. But I know your journey started with your mom's Alzheimer's diagnosis. Can you walk us through how that kind of started that journey and what that was like for you?
Yeah, and I always say, I tell families this all the time. I fell in love with personal care homes because of my mom's experience. And as a family, after I entered senior living, I didn't work in senior living when my mom had Alzheimer's. I worked in the oil and gas industry. There's nothing even remotely related to healthcare. But we got lucky along the way. Things came into our path that were such a blessing because we wouldn't have found them any other way. And when I stepped into senior living as a marketer originally, I realized that was definitely not the scenario that most people encountered. It was as simple as we were introduced to a personal care home that my mom lived in for 2 years before she passed away from my sister-in-law's hairdresser, of all people. Most people don't get that kind of luck.
Yeah.
They bounce around and they're subjected to the Google searches and what comes up, and they don't even know what they're walking into, which of course I found as a placement specialist as well because of the algorithms and the money that's spent on Google searches and other kinds of platforms that it really can drive families not in the direction that they're headed or that they thought they were
Mm.
headed. My family experience greatly influenced how I approached families when I started in this industry. And I worked for a very small 16-bed memory care community. It was not residential, but it was residential like. They were nestled up against neighborhoods. They were a commercial property, but they tried to keep it a small environment where it was more personalized care, felt like home, looked like home, that sort of thing. And I did marketing. We would open in different segments of Houston. Houston is a huge city and nothing translates from one side of town to the other. You can have the best relationship in the world in the Woodlands, and it means absolutely nothing when you go to open something inside the Loop. You have to start your grassroots marketing all over again everywhere we opened. And so I learned a lot doing that. And I still think that carries forward how I approach things. I later went into operations and I was an executive director in mostly memory care facilities. But I tried to always kind of keep that mindset of reaching the family where they needed to be and educating them along the way really became key for informed decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to hit on there. And I think for our listeners, most of whom are opening an assisted living home, it'd be really valuable to understand from your placement experience, what is the best way for these fantastic personalized care homes to get in front of a placement agent like yourself?
That's a loaded one because I've built my business for the last 4 years on being a referral agent. I have very mixed feelings about that these days. I think there's been a lot of people that have entered it that maybe they have a real estate background or they have this background. They don't come from an operations background and so I have very mixed feelings about that sort of thing. But my greater concern for residential assisted living operators is depending too much on referral agents and stifling your growth because of the fees and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Referral agents can be very helpful, but definitely I would highly recommend that you find ones that have worked in senior living. I've had people call me and say, "Hey, my friend told me to call you. I'm thinking about starting a placement agency, just seeing if you had any advice." And then they give me their background and say, my best advice is go work in senior living first. Understand what what drives the operations of an assisted living community. It's If you haven't done that, there's no way you can properly advise families. And so really, if you're looking for a referral partner, from a placement service, make sure they understand what you're going through and make sure that they are advising the families. The last thing you want is for a family to come, show up on your doorstep for a tour that they think you are something that you're not, because then you've got to rebuild expectations and it becomes so much harder for you to build that relationship because the trust is already starting to be broken to some degree.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed out that, hey, not everything has to come from a referral agent, but I totally agree that, yes, if they've never placed at least a family member in a home and gone through that.
Yeah, but even if you've placed a family member, you still don't, I don't, and that's a great perspective for a placement company to provide a family. But if you don't know the other half about how senior living operates, I don't think you're setting them up for the right expectations.
Yeah.
It's making it harder on everybody, the families, certainly the assisted living owners. That's a tough spot for them to end up in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When you were placing your mom, how did you decide on that particular home versus any other type? In-home care, a bigger facility,
Yeah.
other homes? What set that one apart?
It was a very emotional journey, as most families go through. As we know, most families are on a very emotional journey. My dad was trying to be the primary caregiver. He was definitely wearing out. He was exhausted, and she was doing things like roaming away from the house and things like that. I always go back to, we got so lucky even with things like that. The one time she roamed away from the house, her dog went with her and barked the whole time. So until we found her, things were escalating quickly. And you could tell at one point I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, we're going to lose you before we lose mom because of the stress. And that's what a lot of families go through. That
Yeah.
it's the stress on the caregiver can be just tremendous. And so we looked at a few places. It was so my dad was up on the north side of Houston at the time. I was on the west side of Houston. My brother was on the west side of Houston. My other brother was on the north side of Houston. And so when he started looking, and my sister-in-law's hairdresser said, "Hey, go check this place out." He didn't look at a lot of places. Again, we got lucky. It was a mile from where he lived. He spent 6 hours a day there. In my pursuit, I wanted selfishly, I wanted them over closer to me. Houston's a big city. It would take me an hour 15 to drive across the city of Houston. I had young kids. It was not real feasible, and I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted. So I would go shopping places and sit in my car and cry. And I never could find a place that equated to what she was getting. And so there was no point in moving her. I was just going to have to be the person who drove to see her. And I did. I'd have to carve out half a day on a Saturday, but that's what we did. It was, again, the luck process for us. But that being said, we made it work. And my dad was able to, they loved on my dad as much as they loved on my mom, which I couldn't have asked for anything more. And that's what I see with a lot of great residential assisted living places, that they welcome the family to be a part of it so much. I'm not saying that bigger commercial facilities don't do that. I certainly ran one where that was my philosophy. But I think residential assisted livings really excel at something like that.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification and walking us through how that went down for you and your family. Not an easy decision, and it came up this weekend at the Raw Room event in Houston, actually.
Yeah.
Multiple times where basically the way the family approached the primary caregiver, which is the spouse, is that, hey, if we don't do this, you will die first, which is a tough pill to swallow.
It is
about it, but is that the deciding factor for how did you convince them to make this change? Right, that's one of the toughest things for families, is making that decision to actually move mom or dad. How did that
sometimes it is a single event, right? They end up in the hospital, they've broken a hip, or it's crisis mode all the way around. But in our case, it was a layering of events, the walking away from the house and the reality of what could have happened there. My dad was having some events where he was passing out from having heart issues and things like that. He was having fluctuations in his AFib because of the stress. He told me at one point, because his hearing was super bad, at one point he would fall asleep with his hand on top of her at night, because that way he figured he would feel her get up and it would wake him up if he couldn't hear her. I said, Dad, you can't keep going this way. You're not doing yourself any favors, but you're not doing her any favors either. Something big is going to happen. And I think a lot of families see that. Yeah, we sometimes enter the picture at the crisis moment when it's happened, but in hindsight, of course, hindsight being 2020, the buildup had been happening. And that's been my goal with the workbooks, and really the structure of how we market our placement services, is to get out ahead of that crisis moment, and really offer something to families that will keep them out of that moment. When I started my business about 9 months in, my husband, who had been a pharmaceutical rep for 25 years, went through a layoff. His company lost their patent on their drug and they did a layoff. Very common in the pharmaceutical world. And so he said, I'm not getting another job. I'm coming to work for you. I was like, okay, how are we going to do that? He said, what we need to do, he said, there's two ways to get in front of a family. One is the Thanksgiving table, which we can't do. Sit around the Thanksgiving table and talk about what we're going to do about mom. Can't be there. or we can get to their trusted advisors, and that's the physicians. He said we can get to physicians. We just have to message it properly. And that's what we started. That's really still to this day, we get about 40% of our referrals from physicians. And it's because we built that funnel in a way that we get out ahead of the problem. Now, you have to understand that the physician model is slow. It's not a fast referral source. It's not the hospital discharging, the skilled nursing discharging. You can get to those people too, and you should layer all these things. But the physician referral is huge because it's probably one of the most trusted advisors of the potential resident or their families. And they tend to not have the time to have this whole conversation. And so we built our business on just send them to us. If we're not going to, if they don't want to do placement, that's fine. We have lots of resources in the industry. We will happily connect them free of charge. No, we'll just give free advice if that's all it needs. And so by doing that, we really built the relationship with the physicians and the offices, where I always say I'll probably be dead and gone and they'll still be sending me referrals. So, because that's just the way it works with physicians' offices.
Yeah.
Once you get it, it's going to stay.
So let's talk about that. So a physician calls, or I'm sorry, a physician refers you, family calls you. What's the first piece of advice you start to give them along that process of evaluating the senior and what even need to go, or whether they need in-home care, or do they need to go to a facility? Walk me through that process.
The very first thing I say is, I don't give any advice at all. Very first thing I say is, tell me what's going on. Just go ahead and let them talk. And I'm taking notes while they're talking. I'm taking down what are their ADLs, what's their hospitalization, all the things that I'm listening for that I would normally take down in a discovery process. I'm kind of listening for that information. And somewhere in there, you usually hear, do they want in-home care, or are they starting to look for outside the care, or do they need a combination of both? They've got a crisis situation going on right now. I need in-home care. I need a bridge right now. But yes, in the next week or so, after we handle this situation, we need to start looking. So that's generally what I get. Handle what's going on in the here and now, and then let's talk about long-term plan. So
what are your criteria for, hey, they need care? And then a follow-on to that is, how do you determine whether they would be best served by in-home care or by going to a care home?
Some of it is preference. Some of it is, we talk about, every senior probably wants to stay home. And I hear that a lot from families. Mom doesn't want to leave her home. Okay. All right. Okay. So tell me what that looks like. What does home look like? And so you have to bring them around to, what is the cost of that? Because that can be very costly. If that's not an obstacle, okay, that might be a consideration. But understand, as the primary caregiver, you still have a management piece of that. You're still going to be managing it. You're still going to be overseeing it. It actually is what has driven me. Later this month, I'm actually releasing my second book, which is a workbook about in-home care, and how do you make those choices too? Because I do get a lot of that.
Hey there, sorry to interrupt this episode, but I've got a question for you. Do you want to share in the wealth and incredible returns from the highest demand asset class in real estate without the hassle of doing it all yourself, or at least not yet? Residential assisted living is booming, and it's only gaining momentum. That's why we created an investment fund at Open Range Capital, so you can benefit without the heavy lifting. With the silver tsunami upon us, demand for assisted living is far outpacing supply, making this the can't miss opportunity for the next few decades. We provide access to fully vetted investment opportunities that are primed for success and ready to deliver strong passive returns. Don't wait, ride the wave with us. Visit theralroom.com/invest to partner with us on future investment opportunities. Again, that's theralroom.com/invest. We look forward to connecting with you. Now back to the episode.
primarily I'm a placement service company, and that's what drove me to write the first book. But because I know that there's an ever growing need in the funnel of how care evolves, I know that I needed to be able to help families in that direction as well. But so a lot of it is walking them through what does in-home care look like versus what does care outside of the home look like. And it has, you can't force that square peg into a round hole. It's, if they are bound and determined to try in-home care first, support them in that process. It will come back unless they have infinite money where, you know, 2 caregivers, 24 hours a day situation, then they will come back and they will need care. And that's, I try really hard to tell a lot of my residential assisted living homes, be patient in that and be the advisor along the way, because once you've established that trust and that connection with the family, that's what's going to, the trust will build the growth of your business. Education is going to build the trust, but trust is going to build the growth of your business. And that's what we've leaned into for the last 4 years, 4+ years now.
Yeah, on the in-home care versus care homes, you're absolutely right on the cost.
Mhm. Oh,
And
it's outrageous.
it would be crazy. Think about
Yeah.
it. Even if you're
I
only
know.
paying them $25 an hour, which would be pretty low through an
Yeah.
agency, that's
That would be very
$18,000
low.
a month, right? But a
Yeah.
care home the median is approaching 5,500 to 6,000.
But
I mean,
it's a fraction of it.
a
It's a
fraction.
fraction.
So,
Yeah.
and they're still getting
Agreed.
great care. But the other thing that I think that a lot of families don't think about is the social aspect. Like,
I agree.
why would
I
you
agree.
want to be home alone with just this caregiver that, yes, you'll build a relationship with, but is hard to relate to, versus being in an environment where you're with, let's say, your peers, right?
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
in senior care.
Yeah.
And you have
Having
that
moments
bonding
of joy.
experience,
Yeah.
dinner, yeah, and events, 4th of
Mhm.
July.
Yeah.
A lot of the best care homes that I've seen host a lot of really fun activities and events
Agreed.
and celebrate holidays and celebrate birthdays, and they hang out together, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that can't be understated how good that is for
Oh,
seniors.
agreed.
And I personally believe your outcome in a personal care home is much better than in a big box or even in-home care.
Even if you just think about the layout of a care home versus the layout of of your own home setting, it's not equipped to handle you as you age. It's just
Mhm.
not. And so that can be that could be life limiting, honestly.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you, and I talk to families about this, because even if let's say best case scenario, you've got a long-term care insurance policy that covers both in-home care or senior living of some aspect, it's got a cap on it in all likelihood. And you don't know where this path is going. And if you're going to be putting $20,000 a month into in-home care, it's not going to take you long to get to the process of running through that money. And then when you really can no longer do in-home care, where have you left yourself? What options will you have left available to you? And that's a challenge that
Yeah.
most people, they don't always think about. Oh, mom's got long-term care insurance, it'll be fine. Not when you're burning through $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
That can go quick.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have dementia for 20 years.
Yeah. 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 Because dementia could start much earlier. You could go into a
Yeah.
care home much sooner than you would for just traditional assisted living. A lot of
Correct.
people don't realize.
Agreed.
So Amanda, on the placements, what separates, in your mind, a home that would get a placement from you versus one that you wouldn't necessarily? Like, what are some differentiators you're looking for in a residential style assisted living home?
So my residential assisted livings that I really tend to talk up to my families, and I'll be the first to admit I have a preference, and I tell families this all the time. I have a preference for residential assisted living. I think it's the right way to care for people. I think it's the growing model that will, I think it, in so many ways, it is the future of senior care. But what I'm looking for is I like an operator that's engaged in what's going on in their home. They're innovative in what they explore that is the best for the residents. They do engagement because some places tend to be a little bit more calm environments and not going to be Disneyland meets Carnival Cruise Lines. It's going to be, it's a little bit, but you want that. For me, that's really key because it's a home setting. We don't want it to be Disneyland meets Carnival Cruise Lines. We want it to be a home setting. You wouldn't do that in your own home. So why would you do it in an assisted living? I want it to be run operationally very well. I like the ones that are engaged in their community. I know maybe they're a part of the Rotary Club, or maybe they're engaged in some level with the greater community. They're not just here to open up in a residential assisted living and say, bring me residents. They're actually engaged in their community, making their community better. That I think is really key. Because it goes a long ways to saying they're not just here. They want to be a part of the community and be a thriving business within their community. Operationally, that they make smart decisions. I'll get a Friday afternoon text, and it's just, there are times where I say, okay, I would love to take you and go plop you down in a whole bunch of care homes that I have talked to over the years, because on a Friday afternoon, I'll get a text saying, hey, do you have any referrals? I promise you, if I had referrals, I would be reaching out to you.
Would reach out. Yeah.
And a Friday afternoon is, to me, it feels like an afterthought. I haven't planned well. I haven't thought through this. I'm not doing my marketing the way I should.
Sure.
I'm not engaged in my community. It all wraps around into that one statement. Hey, do you have any referrals? On a Friday afternoon tells me a lot, that you need to be out ahead of it, not behind it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons also, we've talked about the workbook being an educational resource, but the workbook is also a marketing tool, because what I allow companies to do is come in and brand themselves in the book, and you order a book run and you take it out and you go marketing with it. You say, hey, Miss Discharge Planner, would this be helpful for when you're working with a family that's going to start looking for senior living? Hey, doctor, would this be helpful when you're working with a family that's starting to think about choices for care for your patient? And then it gets you, first off, it puts you at the top of that funnel. You're out ahead of the placement per se. And you're educating the families, you're educating the referral sources, you're making your referral sources job a whole lot easier, because this book saves them a 45-minute conversation that they don't really have time for in the first place.
True.
And then you order a run of books and you go out and start marketing with it, and it has your information branded on the inside of the book. And then you've started your branding of your company. That's the other thing that I see a lot of times. People don't take it seriously to go brand their business in a meaningful way. Dropping off brochures is not the same thing. Asking for the next referral is not the same thing. This is actually getting you to be the trusted resource and the trusted referral partner.
Yeah.
And I think that's key to really your overall growth. Yeah, you can go through placement companies, and I'm not knocking placement companies because I am a placement company. But I do feel like it can have a tendency to stifle your growth as an operator. The referral fees have gotten outrageous in some cases.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear a referral agent say that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. No,
I know.
That is, you're looking at it from a holistic perspective.
Correct.
It's true. If you are only depending on referrals, then A, you're not doing the marketing and connecting with the community that you should be. And B, you're going to have a hard time with your business because it's extremely expensive, right?
Yeah. You
those
can't
fees.
put money back into your residents when you're spending all those fees.
Yes.
When they're going out the door. So
And it's been a while since I mentioned this, but this is a business. You do have to make money in order to serve residents and to hire great staff.
It does you no good not to make money.
Your mission, you have to be profitable. And I know people are like, oh, you're taking advantage. No,
No.
that's not it. The only way to provide care the best possible way is that your business is successful.
Correct. Because you're going to have to close your doors and not take care of anybody.
Yeah.
And your
Or if you
mission
cut
and your
corners,
passion is going to go
yeah,
right out the door.
that's it.
And,
And you don't want to cut corners. This is not the business to cut
no,
corners in. You
no.
know? And I've seen it in
I
multifamily real estate. These big operators, they buy these multifamilies and then they cut all these corners. And before you know it, the property is losing value. People are moving out, and
Yeah.
it's just a downward spiral. And that's not what we
Yeah.
want. We want an upward spiral.
And you mentioned me talking about being a placement agent and having that philosophy. But I've been in this industry long enough. I started 20 plus years ago. So I was there when certain initial placement agencies came on the scene, and their rates at the time were very reasonable. Those rates have gotten outrageous. I've always made a point of mine being very reasonable, and I'm a flat rate fee. One of the reasons why I do a flat rate fee is because I don't want any inherent bias in what I'm advising families on.
I
It
like that.
makes,
I like that a
yeah,
lot.
it makes no difference to me which one you choose. Here's the choices based on what you have told me that you're looking for and what I think would be a good fit for your loved one based on what I know about them. Go tour them. Here's a list of questions to ask. Here's some checklists to make sure you're making the right decision. Come back, we'll talk it through, but I have no skin in the game. If you choose A or B or C or D, it makes no difference to me because they all pay me the same fee. So,
I love that.
I'm very upfront with families about that.
Yeah, that's very admirable. And I think
I didn't get into this because I got into this because God called me to this. There's no other way to put it. I didn't. If my mom had never had Alzheimer's, I wouldn't be here. I'd be working on a gas and power trade floor as a credit analyst. It's like this.
yeah, that's quite the career shift. Yeah.
Quite the career shift.
Well,
So
yeah.
this
I
would
feel
not be
that.
my
I was
life.
an engineer in the military, and now I do
See?
this particular way. I feel that. I
Yeah,
get
I
it.
know. It's like,
Yeah.
like I have no other way to look at it other than this is what I was supposed to be doing. And so if that's the case, then I can only do it in a way that I feel like honors my mom and honors the mission that I was called to do. That's just all there is to it. And I want to lay my head down at night and I have somebody to answer to when I die. So
Yeah.
that drives me.
I love that. And so your mission is expanding. You're trying to go outside of local. That's why you've created these workbooks. Tell us more
Correct.
about the workbooks, what the
Okay.
goal is of them, how
Mhm.
people can get access to them. Tell me about this.
Okay. So again, this is the workbook. This is the first workbook we write, and the other one on in-home care will be out later. And in-home care will cover home health and hospice and private duty in-home care and ancillary services and so forth. So what happens, this one's not branded, but because this is the Amazon version of the book, but the book is given to families for free. That's the big key factor. Families get this for free. Just like when I'm advising them, they get my advice for free. This is my advice in a workbook for free. What we do is we sell a run of books and we brand on the inside back cover a full page ad of the company that wants the run of books. There's a couple other places that were mentioned, like below the title, there'll be a little thing that has like the logo and the company name saying this workbook has been sponsored by, and gives the company name.
Interesting.
Yeah, and please
Okay.
reach out to them and let them know you appreciate them providing the education and opportunity to explore the care that they need. So I have hospice companies that have purchased it. I have home care companies. I have private duty in-home care companies. I have care homes. I have a wide variety of. I have a physician's office that they do house call visits. They've purchased runs of books and they use it as a marketing tool to go out and get more business. So we're seeing a lot of great traction. Obviously, it puts your brand in the family's hands early on, which of course is huge because you can't get in front of those families a lot of times until somebody decides to put you in front of them. But it's also, it opens the conversation greater. So this is what we were doing things like this with our physician's office. So it allows you to get into the physician's office and say, hey, I have this great resource. I will leave some behind for the next family that you need, but let me tell you about my business. And it gives you that opportunity to go in and do real meaningful marketing and very targeted marketing for what you do. And you're going to be top of mind because you're part of the solution, not just dropping off brochures or saying, bringing cookies or whatever silly stuff people do. It's meaningful and
Yeah.
it's impactful. And then by the time the families walk through your door, they already know who you are.
Yeah,
They've
it's a
looked,
lot more useful of a resource. It's
Mhm.
so important to lead with value. And that was something that I learned
Agree.
as a real estate agent. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
give people your business card, nobody cares, right?
Nobody cares
What
about
I
your
did
business.
is I created educational YouTube videos.
Correct.
Hey, here's what you need to know as a military family moving to this area.
Oh,
That
that's fantastic.
That's it.
Yes.
That's all it
Yeah.
took, right? Like,
Yeah.
educate first. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity at the end of the video to work with
Yeah.
me and my team if you'd like to. This
Yeah.
isn't my prior life, right? But that really worked, and I learned a
Yep.
lot about that. Same thing with Facebook communities. That's how we started
Yes. Yep.
our mastermind. That's how I
Yep.
how I got started as a real estate agent, was just providing value and educating people. And so I think I love it.
Thank
And
you.
how can RAL Homes,
Uh-huh.
how can they work with you on this to get their brand in the book? So how do you
Oh, that'd be great.
how do they reach out to do that, to put their brand in the back of the book? And then where should they take those and distribute those books to get
That's a
more?
good question. Where do you see your referrals come from? That's what I always say to families or to assisted livings and residential assisted livings and even senior living. It's like, where do you see your referrals coming from? And this is really to go in and aid those logical funnel, right? This is to go in and aid that. In our particular case, we get a lot of referrals from physicians, discharge planners, real estate people, churches, anywhere that we normally see referrals come, support groups, things like that. We can take our workbook and open up the conversation of, hey, I've got this free referral. This is 112 pages. It's not a pamphlet.
Yeah.
It's a workbook. And so I have this free resource for your patients, your clients, your whatever, your parishioners, whoever it is that you're in front of. And let me tell you about my business. So it gives you that, it opens that door a little wider for you than the trifold or the business card will do. So you can go in and have that conversation. So I always say, depending on what kind of company you are, like, for instance, if you are the type of company that does ADA adaption, your funnel is going to look very different than my funnel.
Yeah.
RAL's funnel
Yeah.
is going to look very different from
That's
somebody
true.
else's funnel.
Sense.
This is just to strengthen your funnel and get more into that funnel.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
We will have to let's find a time to bring you into the mastermind so that
That'd be great.
all these operators that are opening care homes can
Yeah.
learn about this and
Yes.
potentially use this as part of their marketing as they open, because a lot of our members
Yes.
are now in that stage where they're within
Oh.
6 months of opening. That
Get out
is when you
marketing.
need to be
Get out
marketing.
marketing.
Yeah,
I beg.
you cannot
I
wait till
beg
you
them.
open.
Do not wait to open your doors before you start marketing. So there's my dog behind me.
The dog. Yeah. Yes. And I can't stress it enough. And it's so important. And
Yeah.
the homes that are struggling are the ones that don't have a website and that
Yeah.
never really did marketing.
I know, and they never
so-
did marketing at all. I'm sorry, my dog has decided he really wants to be part of
Oh,
it.
he's like, I'm ready. He's like, how long is this thing gonna go with somebody? We do have to wrap it up here because
Okay. Yeah, we do. You have a hard stop.
I do. But man, that's very interesting. I love the value first play.
Thank you. And if
From
anybody who's watching this wants to see, they can go out to our website at helpformyparents.com. And you go to the section called the workbooks and you scroll down to says, I want to sponsor workbooks, and fill
Yeah.
that information out. It'll come to me. We'll have a conversation. You can send them a sample of what the workbook looks like and show them how that works. You can order 50 books or you can order 500 books, whatever makes sense for you. So I help you customize the ad if you need help with that. I've gotten pretty good with Canva.
Yeah.
And then we upload everything. We get the print. It can be shipped directly to you. We can help you with social media. We help you with how to message it. So we give you real pointed, if you're in front of a physician, here's some things to say. If you're in front of a discharge planner, here's some things to say to that person. So we really try to help coach you through all of that as well.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
thank you.
So thank you for sharing the way people can learn more. And is there any social media you want to share too? People can check out?
Yeah, Help for My Parents is you can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, a wide variety of
YouTube?
places. YouTube as well. Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Amanda, this has been
Thank
great. This has been
you.
very interesting and a little different than usual.
Good.
And I suspect most of our members are going to want to sign up and sponsor workbooks. And
We are here to help.
those in their community to provide value first,
Yeah.
and then hopefully receive
And build their brand. Build
Yeah.
their brand and make it strong and make it so that it is the brand that you will be the go-to person.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yep.
Because the goal is to set the bar for senior
Agreed.
care nationwide, and our members are doing that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a big believer in residential assisted living. It's what saved my family personally, and I've seen it. There's one particular operator near me that we both know that I say all the time, if I could convince my brother-in-law to let me move my mother-in-law to Texas, she would
Oh,
go
we can
straight to
talk about
his
him.
place.
You're talking about John? You talking
Yeah.
about John?
Yeah.
John De Los Reyes. What
Yeah.
a man.
Yeah,
What a
man, what he does it all the right ways. He does
he's
it.
incredible, absolutely incredible. And
He's
talked
everything
about
I
it.
look for.
Yeah, we brought him on the podcast early and into the mastermind to speak to our members early. And I told him this in person because he came to our event and spoke there as well. I was like, man, your name comes up every week when we have our live calls because
Yeah.
you are the model to strive for.
I
the care
agreed.
that people should deliver. And so, I'm with you on that. Shout out
Yeah.
to John De Los Reyes. He's the man.
Absolutely. Yes, he
Yeah, and
is.
we actually gave him an honorary RALRU member award this weekend. So
Oh, very nice. Very
what a
nice.
great guy. What a great guy.
He
He's doing
is.
all the right things. And I
Agreed.
look forward to seeing how he can expand and apply
I
that
know, and
to
grow.
more
I know.
homes in the future.
I know. I say that to him all the time. When's the next one? When's the next one?
I know, but again, we've been talking about this. We talked about it a lot after his speech to the RAW room at the event. Is like, where do you balance that scale, but also maintaining that quality? How can you do that, right? Because inevitably some will be lost. So how do you do that?
You just
Interesting.
once you put the right
problem.
systems in place, though, I firmly believe that once you put the right systems in place, you
gotta
can
find the right
duplicate it. You do that, and that's key. But you keep your thumb on the pulse. And I've run for a short period of time when I worked for a bigger memory care community. I had to run a couple of because they were without an executive director in a building, and I had to run a couple of buildings. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be an executive director in a large 50-bed memory care either. But it's really hard to be an executive director of two 50-bed memory care facilities. It is hard, but it can be done. And I feel confident that they will make that bridge and they will do just fine.
They will.
Yeah.
All right. With that,
thank you for the time.
Amanda, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I look forward to having you on the mastermind and look forward to seeing those workbooks sponsored by me.
Yeah. Okay.
So I hope you
Wonderful.
have a great rest of your day and
you as well.
Have more soon.
Okay. Talk soon. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to the RAW Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a rating 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is VRAL room.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living homes or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry,
Join us in the RAL Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey. Be sure to join us next time on the RAL Room podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.